I got engaged to a blind Duke. Episode 179. Ronny, who had headed toward the open field to avoid Mom's gaze, glanced down at Minnie. He had brought her along because it was obvious they wouldn't let him go out without his younger sister, but she was still a nuisance. Perhaps sensing his gaze, Minnie looked up and met his eyes with a grin. "Brother, going to the mountain?" "Shoo." "Minnie. Mom might still be listening." Ronny quickly pressed his index finger to his lips. When they reached the open field, children were gathered together chattering noisily. He could see a child drawing pictures in the soft dirt. Ronny, Minnie. Joseph, a brown-haired boy with freckles all over his face, raised his hand high and greeted them. "Joseph. Let's go to the mountain." Joseph looked at Ronny with startled eyes. "The adults told us not to go. Where would there be wolves at this time? It's all lies. Let's go play on our mountain." "I'm not going. I'll get in trouble if I do." Joseph shook his head with a frightened face. "TCH, coward. Anyone want to go to the mountain with me?" Minnie, who was beside him, raised her hand high. The other children avoided his eyes and pretended not to hear. "Cowards. If I go and nothing happens, then next time we'll all go play on the mountain together, right?" "Ah, fine." When Joseph reluctantly nodded, the other children followed suit and bobbed their heads. "Let's go, Minnie." Ronny grabbed Minnie's hand and turned toward the mountain with great momentum. The mountain had many geographical features, making it perfect for playing combat games. Jumping over rocks and sword fighting with friends using tree branches made him feel like he was a knight at the Duke's castle. Most importantly, the mountain also had their secret cave. As they were climbing up the mountain, Minnie suddenly stopped short. Brother. Rabbit. What about a rabbit?" Minnie shook their clasped hands vigorously. 5 fingers. Minnie spread out all 5 fingers wide. For Minnie, who couldn't count all numbers yet, 5 fingers was the biggest number. So what she meant wasn't that the rabbit had 5 fingers, but that the rabbit was that big in size. "That's impossible. There's no rabbit that big." Ronny interpreted his younger sister's nonsensical words and frowned. That made sense, since the things Minnie usually pointed to with 5 fingers were only houses, cows, and 100-year-old large trees. "Over there." When he turned his gaze to where Minnie was pointing, he could see a cabin that served as a resting place for hunters. And in front of it, Ronny unconsciously gripped Minnie's hand tightly. "I was right, wasn't I? 5 fingers." Minnie spoke innocently, but the startled Ronny heard his younger sister's words buzzing in his ears. The rabbit was big enough to be similar to the cabin's pillar. His heart naturally started pounding. This was the greatest crisis of his 9-year-old life. So the reason the adults told them not to go to the mountain was because of that rabbit. He had never seen such a big rabbit in his life. No, he had never even heard of one. Was it really a rabbit? It was white and had long ears, so it seemed like a rabbit. "Brother. Let's go see the rabbit." Minnie, who was still young, didn't seem scared even after seeing that huge rabbit. When Minnie tried to pull their clasped hands forward, Ronny stood firm without moving. "No, why?" Minnie asked with her big eyes wide open. Ronny couldn't bring himself to tell his younger sister that he was too scared to go, so he made another excuse. "Mom told us not to go to the mountain. We're on the mountain." Minnie stared blankly at him as if asking what he was talking about when they were already on the mountain. Ronny avoided Minnie's gaze with an embarrassed expression. "This is still just the front of the mountain. We haven't gone deep inside. I said we should listen to Mom." "Who did?" "Joseph." "Joseph is a coward." "Is brother a coward?" The words he had said to Joseph earlier came right back to him. So this was why Mom told him to watch his words in front of Minnie. He gained great insight in his 9-year-old life. I'm going to see the rabbit. Minnie suddenly let go of the hand she was holding and ran forward. Minnie. At that moment, a black-clothed person suddenly appeared in front of Minnie. Minnie looked up at the person with a startled face. The person, who had everything covered except their eyes, warned in a low voice. No one can enter this place. Ronny hurriedly grabbed Minnie's hand and pulled her back. A person with their whole body covered in black clothes was very suspicious. Is that really a rabbit? Ronny wanted to ask bravely, but his voice came out trembling. I cannot answer that. The black-clothed person answered curtly in a deep voice, indicating he was a man. It wasn't an answer to the question, but Ronny gained a little more courage from the fact that he at least said something. Why are you here, mister? I cannot answer that. He could see the white rabbit glancing in their direction. When their eyes met with those silver-gleaming pupils, Ronny felt like his heart dropped to the floor with a thud. Hello, rabbit. Minnie, who was standing behind him, waved her hand toward the rabbit as if she was happy to see it. The rabbit looked at her and snorted dismissively. Could rabbits snort? While Ronny was seriously pondering this, his younger sister was brave. Rabbit. I'm Minnie. Hello. Every time Minnie spoke, the way it perked up its ears was unmistakably that of a rabbit. You're Rabbit. I'm Minnie. His younger sister continued to be brave. She chattered away as if teaching it names, pointing at the rabbit and herself with her finger. The rabbit snorted once more and went into the cabin. Ronny stared at the spot where the rabbit had disappeared with a dumbfounded expression. What you saw today is a secret. And don't come to this place again. The man in black clothes who spoke in a cold voice disappeared instantly before their eyes. Ronny was startled and looked around frantically. Minnie was also surprised and spun her head around looking for the man. Did the man leave? Why yeah. Let's go too. Ronny came to his senses and pulled Minnie's hand that was holding his. Aren't we going to see the rabbit? Minnie glanced at the cabin with a disappointed expression. The man said not to go near it. Let's hurry down. Humph. I wanted to say bye-bye, Rabbit. Minnie. If you don't listen to brother, I won't take you out to play anymore. Minnie's big eyes trembled. Humph. I like brother. Yeah. I like Minnie too. So let's go. Okay. Minnie followed Ronny with a sullen expression. During dinner when the family was gathered harmoniously eating soup, Ronny raised his head. Mom. What? Is the reason you tell us not to go to the mountain really because of wolves? The village woman's brown eyes trembled slightly. Her husband beside her, who was cutting bread, hardened his face and pressed his lips tightly together. Mom, Rabbit. Minnie, who was holding round bread in both hands and eating it heartily, suddenly shouted. Ronny, startled by this, glared at his younger sister. Minnie. The village woman didn't miss the opportunity to change the subject. Our daughter, do you like rabbits? Yeah. Rabbit. 5 fingers. You saw 5 rabbits? The husband joined the conversation while stroking his daughter's head. No, oh my. Minnie sighed deeply as if frustrated and shook her head. Minnie, eat your bread. Eat lots. Ronny gave Minnie his bread to keep her mouth busy. Minnie, who loved bread, was immediately distracted by it. While watching his parents look fondly at Minnie eating the bread deliciously, Ronny asked his question again. Mom, is it really because of wolves? Yes. Wolves are dangerous, so you must never go to the mountain. Go mountain. Minnie, who was eating bread enthusiastically, suddenly raised her head. Ronny quickly put the bread he had set aside for himself into Minnie's mouth. You should say, don't go mountain. Mom is worried. At Ronny's words, the village woman nodded and spoke to Minnie as if scolding her. Minnie. You can't go to the mountain. Understand? Minnie rolled her big eyes, then nodded while chewing the bread earnestly. Ronny secretly let out a sigh of relief. Although his bread had all been taken by his brave younger sister, he had protected the peace of the household.